In this neck of the woods, you may know who Randy is. He is the Oregon Village president, but that's a very small part of who Randy is. Randy is a naval veteran. He is a master gardener. He is an artist and a teacher, and he teaches at Madison College, psychology. He told me at the end of each semester, each class, he has his students write their own eulogy. So it got me thinking, and I thought of my daughters, because when they were born, I was a young father and I was scared. I didn't know what I was going to do. But I knew one thing: I loved them. So I wrote this. I won't read you the whole thing, but I knew this immediately when they were born. When my daughters were born, I realized that I loved them more than the heavens above. Randy, thanks for reminding me to tell them that. Here's the show.
Okay. I'm Randy Glysch. Many people in the village know me as village president, but I'm also a stained glass artist. I'm also a psychologist by training. I also teach, been teaching at Madison College for over 20 years in psychology. I'm a master gardener, and I like to do lots of things. So maybe I'll start with how I sort of got into stained glass. I've been doing stained glass for about 10 years. In college, I started out, I wanted to be an architect, and art has always sort of been a part of my life, and I like to create things, and so I took a class at the Vinery in Madison and stained glass about 10 years ago, and kind of haven't looked back since then. Started in foil. People who are familiar with stained glass know you typically start in foil. My lamps are done in foil because they're not so heavy, but I exclusively these days do a lot of lead-based art glass. I probably have given 99% of my stuff away or as gifts. So I do some commissions, but a lot of the stuff I give away because I just like for people to enjoy it, and I like making it. So I do that. So there are two different ways to do art glass. The lamp that is next to me is done in the foil method, and basically you cut out all the individual pieces of glass individually on a pattern, and then you wrap each individual piece of glass in copper foil, and then you put them together, and then you run solder along all sides of the glass, and that's how it's put together. The reason we do the copper for the things like the lampshade is it's more lightweight. The other method is lead, and lead is heavy and bendable. The advantage of lead is you get nice straight lines typically, and that's why people like that. And you just have to solder the joints. So the lamps are done in copper, and then you can patina them. The one that's next to me is patinaed. It's probably my favorite piece that I've done. It is time consuming, a lot of work. The lead tends to be a little bit easier and a little bit faster to do because you're doing less soldering on the pieces. And in terms of how I create, sometimes things just come to me. Anybody who knows an artist, sometimes you just get ideas. They pop in your head and you just sort of just go for it and design. And you don't really know exactly how they're going to come out, but hopefully they come out well. And typically I've been lucky. So if you notice, most of my pieces have red corners. And I started doing that a long, long time ago, and it sort of became my signature of my pieces. And so my business is called Red Corner Art Glass. And so I do that on most of the pieces that I do. That's my signature. I typically do my work is in the arts and crafts, kind of movement, prairie style, Frank Lloyd Wright-ish. It's just, I think it's very, a lot of times it's described very simple, but I sort of see it as very sort of simple but very elegant, and sometimes simple is better, and I like that. I'm also interested in color. Anytime you do an art glass piece and you put it in the window, it will look different throughout the day depending upon what the conditions are outside, and I like that too. It can look bright in the morning, but maybe it looks different in the afternoon, and that's the fun part because it kind of just changes the way it looks during the day. But color is very important to me, and I like it when it pops. I like use color that pop even when it's cloudy outside. Okay, so when I first started, I took a class at the Vinery, as I said earlier, to do the foil method and stained glass. And after I took the class, I came home and was trying to create my own pieces. And I had trouble cutting glass. A lot of times the sheets are big, and I would try to cut the glass, and typically I would ruin the glass. I couldn't cut it, and got frustrated. So for me, I didn't pick up another piece, a tool or cut glass for over a year because I thought, I can't do this. It's too hard for me. So it was literally a year after that I finally picked it up and just kept trying and trying. And eventually I learned how to cut glass and learned how to create pieces. So don't give up if it's a little hard at first. It takes practice. Why I came back to it is it was sort of a passion. I like to create things, and I just was not going to give up. I just needed some time to sort of take a break from it, but I did. I wasn't going to let it beat me. I had to come back to it, and maybe I ruined a few more pieces of glass, but that's okay. I got better and better at it, and I'm pretty good at it now. So one of the things I like to do with art glass is I also like to repurpose. This, in fact, is a 1920s lamp. We took the base and I created a lampshade to it. So something that was discarded has now become something very beautiful with my art glass, and it goes very well with the style. So when I was 18, I graduated from high school in Two Rivers, Wisconsin. I often mention that, and my goal was to go to college. My parents did not have the means to send me to college, so I decided that I was going to go into the military. And my grandfather had been in the Navy, liked the Navy because of the stories he told me, and so I decided I would go, and I did enlist in the United States Navy. I spent 8 years in the Navy, but one of the things that I learned early on was I was just barely 18 when I enlisted and was off on a ship already, was that through hard work, anything was possible. So I was able to get some successes, Sailor of the Quarter, Sailor of the Year, and that just taught me, those experiences taught me that I could do anything that I put my mind to it. And so I didn't expect to spend 8 years in the Navy, but I did. But my goal was always to go to college, and I went to college right after that. And then I went into graduate school. And I think that was the best life lesson I ever learned. I got to meet many, many people in other cultures, Japan, Australia, Singapore, everywhere. And even just my shipmates, being exposed to people that I had never been exposed to before, different cultures, was an eye-opener and a good awareness about differences and accepting and that whole sort of relationship. And maybe that's part of why I became a psychologist. I'm getting ready and excited. Next week, I actually get to go back in class. I haven't been in the classroom with my students for almost 2 years, so I'm excited about that. I teach psychology of human relations, and I think my background in psychology really helps me as village president. I'm a person that's I know the importance of relationships. I know what relationships can do and get things done, so that comes in handy as being village president. So I teach psychology of human relations at Madison College. I've been teaching that for 20 years. And my class is a very highly interactive class with my students. We do a lot of talking, a lot of group work. And this is a class that really is focused on having students learn about themselves. And once they learn about themselves, they're better at understanding other people and accepting other people. I've learned, being a psychologist, that the most important thing is relationships. It affects every part of our life. My goal is that to have my students not be the same from day one as to when we finish the 16-week course. There are two, among other things, there are two assignments that I will give students. One, early on in the semester, is I will have them do go out and do random acts of kindness. So they do random acts of kindness, but then I also ask them to watch for other people doing random acts of kindness. So they report on two things. And then toward the end of the class, I have them write their own eulogy. And I do that because I want them to think about what they would want people to say about their life. And that gets them to think about where they are today and where they want to be. And those sorts of things, I think, make a big impact, because they're not the same by week 16. And that as an instructor, that makes me very happy. Okay, just to let everybody take a sigh, a breath. Culvers, everybody loves Culvers. We worked through the process the village has with them, and they are definitely coming. They've closed on the property off of Park Street and Janesville Street. So they definitely are coming, and we know that people are excited about that. One of the exciting things is about to happen in 2022 for the village is that Olbrich has a garden tour every year, and it's a pretty prestigious garden tour. Typically they'll pick 7 what they think are premier gardens, and they pick them a year ahead of time to showcase the gardens. Typically in July, it's like 3 days. And this year I'm excited and we worked with them, but the Oregon is going to be the focus in 2022. So there will be seven gardens throughout the village that'll be showcased for their gardens. And typically they get over 1,000 people that will come from all over Dane County and maybe even beyond to come and look. So this is an exciting thing for the village, for this to be happening for us. I'm also a master gardener, certified master gardener too. And the thing, I like playing in the dirt. There are so many new varieties of plants. It's fun to see plants bloom in the spring and to spring throughout the whole season, which is exciting to see them even all the way into fall, and the colors change, and things like Japanese maples, the leaves change. Often people will sort of stop and get ideas, and that's one thing about the Olbrich thing, is a lot of people come to those to get ideas for their own gardens. So for us to be able to sort of give other people ideas of what to go back home and do, that's an exciting sort of thing to be able to share all the work that you put into your gardening, and for people to get ideas and go back home and do some of their own things.